Dragon Age studio BioWare has reportedly halved in size, with the staff surprised by EA relocations. Now, this is coming from a lot of sources. VGC, we got the Gamer. It's everywhere. So this game obviously, very obviously, was coming out the gate with a lot of controversy. And here's what the article is going over. It says Bloomberg reports that the following announcement of studio reorganization this week, EA informed team members who believed that they had been temporarily loaned to other EA studios following the completion of Dragon Age Veilguard that these moves were now in fact permanent. BioWare confirms this week that some of the employees had been moved to help other projects in EA, and since the next Mass Effect game was in pre-production and did not need the entire studio. According to Bloomberg, the transferred staff had believed that their home move to other projects was temporary, and that they were told this week that their loan moves had morphed into permanent relocations, that they were no longer BioWare employees. And if they wanted to work at BioWare again, they would have to look for job openings. Now, I'm going to skip over to an article from VG 247. VG, geez, what is this? Yeah, VG 247, excuse me. Says it looks like the entirety of the Dragon Age Veilguard's main credited writing team is now no longer working at BioWare. Now, this is where it kind of gets interesting, because if you've been following Dragon Age Veilguard and the writing, especially with the forced narratives and all the stuff that's been chalked into this game, this is not a surprise. This directly, and the numbers aren't lying because it's all out there now, this directly contributed to these particular layoffs and the game, because the game was affected financially as a result of this writing and this narrative. So it says every writer credited as being part of the main writing team on Dragon Age Veilguard no longer appears to be working at BioWare, with a number of departures at various points in the past having been added to by the studio's latest restructuring. Following the downsizing announced yesterday in the blog post pinned by BioWare General Manager Gary McKay, Veilguard writing lead Trick Weekus, I hope I'm saying that right, posted on Blue Sky that he's now looking for a new writing narrative position, as his 20 years at the studio have come to an end. On top of this, fellow writer Brienne Batty, I hope I'm saying that right, revealed that she's among those who've moved from BioWare to Motive Studio as part of restructuring, with Cheryl Chi seemingly being in the same boat. Taking a look at the game's credits as listed on Moby Games and IMDb, you'll find those two names listed as part of Veilguard's main writing design team alongside a number of others. So I just want to kind of get into the more opinion side of this thing. This is a big deal. I mean, look, BioWare is, obviously Mass Effect, right? And there is a new Mass Effect game being developed, but the studio has now downsized to less than 100 people as far as the reports that I'm seeing out there online, and there's a ton of them. This is like a really big deal. BioWare head explains why there were layoffs during. I mean, they can have opinions why. The meat and potatoes of this is like, look, the game had a lot of forced narratives going on, a lot. And whether you're like the content and you like the game or you don't, the reality is that the content of the writing is projected into the player's face, and it wasn't largely what's the term, accepted. It wasn't it didn't resonate well. It wasn't accepted well. A lot, more than I don't know. The game's player numbers are atrocious. The game got reduced in price to $25. I was just seeing this the other day. We have, man, there was a lot. There was absolutely a lot. So, the studio is downsizing. The next Mass Effect game not requiring support from the full studio. And an unspecified number of BioWare staff have transferred to other teams. So, EA is looking at this and saying, look, we've lost a ton of money, and this was just a colossal failure. The concurrent player counts were not very good at all. It's this here even says EA lost 6 billion in market following FC 25 and Dragon Age underperformance. I mean, there's just articles all over the place. Look, when Big Dog EA reports a 6 billion loss, and Dragon Age was a bigger part of that than FC 25, 100%. Like this is there's just going to be shakeup. That's just what it is. As Asman would say, it is what it is. So this here, look, it's unfortunate. Like we it seems like all we do lately is talk about layoffs and all this stuff, but this is one of those situations where, like, it's different if you are hardworking, good at your job, and you're making the best product you can, and there's some unforeseen stance with funding or something like that. But when you have a game that takes a certain type of writing and a certain type of messaging, and they want to push it in a certain way, the way this game did, you're targeting such a niche audience that's way too small to be profitable. And in today's climate, obviously, a lot of the narratives that this game pushes are highly, highly rejected. And it just wasn't a very smart move. And I think a lot of the gaming industry is starting to feel the effects of this. There's a lot of this, DEI topic that goes on that, is just being really rejected right now. And a lot of gamers just don't want that stuff in their games. It's like, it's one thing to give the player choices, but when you force a direction, a narrative direction on the player, that usually doesn't go over well. And this is the proof is in the numbers, right? Like, you don't have to take my word for it or even listen to my opinion. My opinion doesn't matter right now. It's the will of the people, and people vote with their wallets. They always will. And obviously this direction that they took was just not a good one. And now, unfortunately, they're being repositioned and or laid off. Again, look, I don't advocate for layoffs, but at the same time, it's like, you know, there's a reason that people are, like, you're either, if you're good at your job, you get to stay. If you're bad at your job, you don't. Now, that doesn't mean that they're bad at their job per se. It also could be chalked up to leadership decision and leadership direction. Somebody in the mechanisms made choices that led to this outcome. So that's just going to happen, right? Hey, hopefully these people find work, and obviously the people at BioWare, including the people that made Dragon Age, obviously these are all very talented people and very capable people. Hopefully they, find some new work and maybe change the direction of how they approach writing and narrative in a way that is still something that's expressive for them artistically, but also, you know, plays into, like, making sure the company you work for makes money. Because there's another argument out there saying, like, hey, it's another example of, like, corporation. I've seen this online a lot where they say corporations don't care about you. You're another number. If you're not making the money, they're going to get rid of you. And it's hard to argue against that narrative when you see stuff like this, because it's like, well, I mean, they lost EA. They were contributing to losing EA 6 billion in valuation. And that's why they're doing this restructure. So in a kind of sense, it's like, yeah, they didn't make money for them, so they replaced them. And that is true in a lot of corporate America. Like, any business is, if you're not making them money or you're costing them money, they're not going to keep you on. Like, that's just business 101. It's not even necessarily personal at that point, right? It's like, you know, it's okay to come in and be talented and make cool stuff and all that, but it also has to generate revenue. They run a business. It is what it is. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, again, hopefully these people find new jobs and find a more productive, creative path. You know what I mean? Like, I would always root for the positive, right? Like, look, I don't like DEI in games. I don't like all that kind of crap. Personally, as a consumer, that's just me. That doesn't mean that if that's something you enjoy, or that you enjoyed the new Dragon Age game, that, I'm not, hey, I'm happy, you're happy, right? And it doesn't matter what I think anyway. But at the same time, like, yeah, cause and effect. So I do hope for the better. I hope that things in the industry start to shift more towards player choice, not force narrative, right? As a gamer, we want choices. We want to have fun in an experience, not have someone else's choices forced on us. That's kind of where it's at. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, I really appreciate it. And again, let's hope that the industry can get better leadership, make better decisions, so we don't have all this hyper-inflated employees that we have to just shit can later. And hopefully these people can bounce back and get some work. And obviously, again, they're very talented people. So let's hope for the better outcome here. Let's hope for um, their true best that they can, share with us, right? I'm always going to root for that. I hope you do too. And again, if you like the video, comment, like, subscribe, bell notifications, all that kind of stuff. Hit the buttons, hit the keyboards, comment, tell me I'm an idiot. I don't care, right? So thanks again, and I'm going to get the hell out of here.
Helmet fire.